All right. Welcome back to the Depths of Healthcare podcast. I'm your host, Ben Imes. Really thankful for everybody joining today. Got another special guest with us today. Angela Burke has done a lot of good for the world, and really excited to hear her viewpoint on many different topics. Angela, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, your experience, and where you're calling in from? Anything else you'd like to share?
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Ben, for having me on your show. I really do appreciate it. So, I'm Angela, as Ben said. I'm from Northern New York, way above the midpoint of New York State. I'm kind of in no man land. And I have been in the therapist field. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been in the field for 20 plus years at this point. I started out working with kids and I ended my corporate career actually working with kids. So, kind of full circle. Um, I was I started off as a therapist, worked my way up in the agency I worked for, into leadership roles for my last 15 years there. And I recently left that to start my own private practice and really reach out to people that I want to work with, bring some kind of hope to their lives and reduce the stress, reduce the burnout because that is so real, especially right now.
Oh, yeah. And you mentioned is that some of your focus you'd say with your clients and your patients and kind of reducing burnout and reducing stress in the work environments?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the more I'm getting into this and really narrowing down what my niche is, it's people are showing up that are juggling 20 different things at any given time. Their jobs are demanding more of them, their families are demanding more of them. The work-life balance is not there. And having gone through that and having experienced it, I come to my clients kind of with firsthand experience, feeling that stress, feeling that burnout, and then getting that renewed hope that, you can balance things, you can make a change for yourself and get through that transition of life and really have some balance.
Yeah. And how did you find yourself kind of working into that? Is it just from your personal experience?
I think so because really prior to the past year, um, the folks that I was working with really was just more, okay, I'm experiencing some anxiety. How do I get through it? And then I think, sometimes we mirror what is given to us, right? So I was going through a lot of career stress, a lot of burnout, toxicity, all that, and not being able to show up for my family. And then I
Mm,
think, as I was going through that, I was starting to see more clients that are going through that. And now, especially since I've made the transition to doing this full time, I have executives, I have lawyers, I have all these people showing up that they don't have that balance and they're just the demands are so much. And that's what we're working through.
gotcha. And what kind of things are you doing that you're seeing good results from? I should say, obviously, the business is not a results driven business. It's really just, it's a process, right?
It
And
is.
everybody, I think all my listeners kind of understand that. But how are you kind of, what are some techniques or tactics that you're using to kind of help people work through that process that you've kind of found to be very effective?
I think one thing is providing that space that people can be real, that they
Mm,
can drop the mask and just release all the frustrations, all the stress. I think that's one thing is so that safe space. I think the other is okay, how do we look at the situation you're in?
mhm,
Is it something that you can remedy right in like let's say it's a career issue. Is it, something that you can fix within your manager, your boss, or is this something that we need to explore other opportunities? I had somebody show up with a to-do list of personal business and I got overwhelmed looking at that list. And so, we looked at, okay, how do we break this down? We've got a
mm,
big elephant here and you can't
mhm.
eat an elephant in just one bite. So let's break this apart. So I think it's giving that perspective because sometimes we get so overwhelmed with everything we need to do that
Yeah,
nothing gets done.
right.
So it's really trying to give them a different perspective of, okay, how do we break things down? What are the things we can look at that maybe we can even delegate? Or, if
Mm,
we have expandable income, is there anything that we can hire out for? So it's really trying to look at that because I had to look at that in my own life. I have twin
mm.
sons that are amazing and yet a lot of energy, right? So it's like, how do you balance all that?
Yeah, yeah. It's, what's it called? The analysis paralysis kind of thing. If all of a
Absolutely.
sudden your list of things is too long, you just say, well, I just won't do any of it. Maybe
That's
it'll go
right.
away. I'll put my head under a sheet.
Yes.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. Now, kind of talking about, were you doing this? You kind of mentioned it earlier, but were you doing this kind of counseling when you were working corporate, or did you have any experience with this when you were working corporate?
I think a little bit from time to time. I would get a client that had this kind of issue going on.
Okay.
It wasn't really relatable to me at the time, but I mean, we worked through it and obviously I use the skills that I have as a therapist. But I think now for the people I'm working with, it's realistic, right? Like we are really hitting the ground running with, okay, this is, very direct and we can get through it. And I think the other thing about me that makes me a little different is, therapists are supposed to be very empathetic and, um, you know, kind of like shined up, right? Like we can't be real. And I think when you come to me, it's okay, let's say this sucks, right? Or let's say this is, you get a real version. And we can own the feelings and work through them and then, you know, okay, what are our next steps? How are we going to
Yep.
move past this?
Yep. I've heard this saying, and you can reflect if you agree with it or not from your experience, but it's called the feelings are great friends, but not good leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we can get so blindsided by our feelings, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it's tough but I think if people can't own their feelings, because feelings are real, right? And they're true. If you feel something, it is true. It's not, oh, you're just making this up or you're just doing, no, what you're feeling is real. But now what you do with it is what's important. How you react or how you respond is what's the most important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where you build resilience, but also you can learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn from that time period,
Absolutely.
at least from my standpoint. We've all been in stages of burnout at different points in our career. If you've worked in healthcare long enough, everyone
Absolutely.
probably all my listeners can understand the same thing. But now transitioning a little bit here. So what pushed you to kind of go from corporate to I mean, you kind of talked about that, touched on that a little bit. So go a little bit into more detail about how you went through that transition, how it's been, helping your life, or what kind of things you're learning from running your own business that are helping you expand your tools and your skill sets.
Right. Yeah. So again, like I said, the past year at my corporate job was very difficult for me. Uh, enough where I had to get my own therapist, right? Like I'll be full,
Yeah.
transparency with that. And I think working through my career burnout and whatever have you with her really helped me and helped me show up and be a stronger
Right.
therapist. But no, I in February, March of this past year, I really looked at, okay, it's time for me to move on, but I can't start my own private practice. I'm not a business person, even though I've, kind of run a business, in the past doing fitness, but this was real. And so I hired a career coach and spent an unseen amount of money and it didn't get me anywhere. I didn't get any
Oh,
interviews, even though I had
oh,
all
I thought you were
this.
going to say that was what solved it.
Not at all.
Oh
Not at all.
no.
I applied to probably 100 jobs and nothing was biting. And again, I live in very rural New York and I didn't want to move. I don't want to move. This is where my family is. This is where we're raising our sons.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that was a barrier, right? And the more I became secure in who I was and the skills I bring, uh, I'm like, all right, well, I already have 5 or 6 clients on the side because I was doing it as a side hustle of my therapy. And I'm like, all right, well, why not? We can make a go of this and I'm resourceful. I'll make things happen. So I resigned from my job in mid-July and went full force, right? And I've definitely hit my bumps and I've been looking at all the avenues of okay, how do I make revenue? How do I make sure that my family is taken care of? I think health insurance was a big part of that too. And we, supported my family. My boys loved having me home for the summer. I'm like, "All right, this is
Totally.
what I'm meant to do," right? Everything's just kinda lined up, and it's still a work in progress. I still am hitting my bumps, but I think the people I'm working with, it there's no burnout there, right? Like, I enjoy working with these people and helping them to solve their issues and showing up for them, and I can do it 100% now. Like, I'm fully present. I'm not, you know obviously, I'm still marketing and I'm trying to do all the things, and it's it's coming together naturally, I guess, in a way. So
Yeah.
that's how I ended up, transitioning from corporate to this. It was a leap of faith, really, if I want to be
Yeah.
honest about it. Yeah, so that's where I'm at.
The boss can be pretty hard, though. I've heard the boss can be pretty hard on her employee.
Absolutely.
Well, because you're your own biggest critic at the same time, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
you're
Like
like,
there's days like I'm not gonna be successful at this, like, I've only gotten one new client this week or whatever have you. But I think just knowing that I'm doing everything I need to be doing, learning SEOs and marketing is completely foreign to me. Just like when I went into trying to find a job, it wasn't paper and pen anymore, right? Like back when I
my
started
goodness.
with my last job, it was pencil
Yeah,
and
because you did it
paper.
before, like, LinkedIn or Indeed
Yeah.
or anything.
Before AI and all these other systems were there, I felt so archaic. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm not that old. How do I
Yeah.
not know this stuff?"
Yeah.
But so I think right now it's a huge learning curve, like learning all the SEOs, Google Ads and Instagram and just so much. And Chat GPT is my best friend right now.
I
It
mean,
helps me.
it's pretty impressive. I mean, now that you're kinda touching base into that, like, AI, there's parts of it, right? I mean, I think we have to be very gentle with how we apply it.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't just get an email from one of your clients and respond with ChatGPT. You gotta give your valuable insights, like, you
Absolutely.
are special. The
Right.
AI is only special by the person who has created it to learn that.
Hmm.
But for repetitive stuff, automated stuff, I mean,
Absolutely.
especially in our field, in the medical field, we could I feel like we could benefit from it. Have you attempted to utilize it for anything in your specific practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple different EHR platforms I'm on, and they actually incorporate AI into the note taking, which has been huge. Yes. It
Chef's
is
kiss.
wonderful,
Yes.
and there's a couple platforms I use that don't use it. I'm like, "Oh, this is exhausting," but it really captures what I couldn't capture. And, it lists like even the one platform I use, it lists like the approaches that I use, whether it was humanistic or cognitive behavioral therapy, it will spell it out, which is lovely. And it really makes it, especially in this day and age where insurances are becoming more, they're scrutinizing the notes to make sure, okay, well, did you use this code?
Yep.
Are we really, should we have used an hour code? And I don't wanna cut off clients at 45 minutes just because their insurance dictates that. Like, that's not a person-centered approach. So, with these notes and with the capability of AI, I don't have to worry about it, because I know it's all documented, why I was there for an hour, and we can move forward.
And you can end that hour knowing that you don't have to spend another 20 to 30 minutes summarizing and writing and making sure you're
Absolutely.
HIPAA compliant because it's already done for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where was
It's
this? Where was this technology when we were learning everything?
yeah, and, but I think also that gives us more of an appreciation for it though, right? Like, people
It
coming
does.
out of college now that have it all at their fingertips, they're like, "This is great," or it could be doing more, where we're like, "Yes," you know?
Yeah, I wonder we had all the skills developed, right, through the school of hard knocks, but now, I mean, you wonder if the people who are coming out with ChatGPT, I mean, imagine if you're in university right now and you're having to write an essay or having to summarize like a whole article or a whole book. Like, I feel like it's kind of cheating.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was even talking to a scientist just last week, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't even have to like look up these studies anymore. I just say, hey, summarize this study, Chat GPT, like this lab's like, and it's very technical writing,
Mhm.
right?" And he's like, "Yeah." Then I just look at it and I say, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." You can't do that. You're the scientist. Like people
Seriously.
trust you. Um, Yeah, I feel like there's different nuances to business ownership. What are the so you've obviously you've highlighted some of the cons, I guess, or the learning parts like marketing, SEO, ads, that whole hemisphere. The sales funnel. I don't know if that's what it's called.
Yeah, well, I've heard funnel quite a bit, so I think so.
I think neither of us are sales.
No.
But then like what are some of the obviously you've touched on some of the pros, but what are some other positives that you've seen now that you've become your own business owner other than I mean, the big one is definitely spending time with your family, being able
Mhm.
to not relocate. What other things have you noticed just otherwise, like interacting with your clients that they appreciate about you, as well as just the skills that you're learning as a business owner?
I think one thing is how I show up now. Like, I'm not worried I'm gonna get a call from work or,
Mm,
I'm fully present at this, when I'm with somebody now. And not that I wasn't before, but if I was on call, am I gonna get a call during a session? There's always that fear. So I think how I show up and, full of energy, like, let's go, let's conquer this kind of thing. And I think, as a business owner, yes, it's a lot to learn, but I think the more I can learn, the more I can help others. So whether, let's say one of my clients is, looking at their own business or, I have a colleague that wants to branch out into private practice. I can actually now help them at least a little bit. I'm still a novice, like don't get me wrong, but I think it's just allowed a lot more freedom where I can, make my own schedule,
right.
and, if I want to be done on a Friday afternoon at noon, I'm done. And I think that's huge, right? Like,
That's huge.
as being your own business owner, right? So that part is nice. I think, looking at, we talked about me being here more for my family, but my boys just started second grade. So for UPK, kindergarten, first grade, I never got to see them in the morning before going to
Mm,
school because I was already at work. So, now I'm getting them onto the bus. That's huge to me, right? Like I'm
yeah,
actually there and being present. If they're sick, we don't have to worry about one of us taking the day off. I'm here. You know, so there's those benefits. I think that's probably working remote, right? Whether you own your own business or just working remotely, like those are the benefits. The other benefits I think of owning my own business is I am the boss, right? Like I have two dogs that are in here with me. Like I don't have any like toxicity, drama. It's
I
just
don't know. The dogs can be a little dramatic sometimes.
sometimes.
You're being a little needy.
Right now they're snoring on the floor. Like
There you go.
that's they're good dogs when it comes to like they just know when I'm in a session, like they're quiet. I don't know, it's must be innate or something. But I think, it's just that freedom, the flexibility, and if a client needs to see me on a Sunday morning, okay, let's go.
Clear
So
the time. You can clear the time in your schedule. You're like, hey, you know what? That's what you need. Let me help kind of meet you there.
absolutely.
It seems very like, I mean, it seems very empathetic, like your style of ownership at this point. You're like, obviously you can create your own schedule and set up really healthy boundaries is what it sounds like you're doing. But also you can meet people where they're at.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I have one client that's a college student and and they're adapting around my schedule, right? Like I would have typically met next Thursday, but my kids have a soccer game. And so now we're meeting Friday night. I never Friday nights are my night, but I'm like, okay, you know what? You're being flexible around my schedule. Let's be flexible around yours. We'll meet Friday evening at 6:30. Right. So I think it's just that balance of back and forth. Like I still have, the 3 nights to go to soccer games and
Hmm.
this night will be for work.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And you can be flexible like that to make that work. What do you, so what are you dreaming about? I mean, so you've had this business for about a year and change or just a few months?
Just 2 months now, full
Just two
time.
months.
Yes,
So, okay. Obviously there's the dreams of just can this survive and supply my family, an income and stuff like that. But outside of those like everyday worries of small business ownership, what are your kind of dreams for your practice and where do you anticipate this kind of going?
yeah, I think for the next couple of years, I wanna keep it solo and, just myself. I would like to make the turn to full fee clients versus the insurance just because, again, there's more restrictions on insurance, and I don't really like all the red tape. So, that is my goal to shift more full fee or complete full fee. But maybe in, like, 3 years looking at, "Okay, am I ready to start a group practice? Do I have enough knowledge of business ownership at that point? And is there a desire? Is there clinicians out there looking to branch off and do their own, be kind of their own boss in a way, with a group practice?
Yeah. And that'd be really cool. I think if, you know, you've worked in the kind of corporate settings, you know how teams, I mean, are put together, but you also have your idea of what could actually work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I would like to, take that leadership role on again because I felt that I really did thrive with that, and I
Mhm.
loved leading teams.
Mhm.
But I think right now, this is where I need to be is in the solo practice and really, kind of building that out there and collaborating with other professionals. Like that's been a cool thing too of this is, I talked to somebody in North Carolina the other day and collaborating, right? I've been able to expand my licensure to Florida and now I'm working on South Carolina. Excuse me.
Cool.
So, I think it's awesome being able to meet, like, these clinicians or, NPs or MDs from other areas and being like, "Yeah, these are the folks I work with. If they need, medication, can I refer to you?" kinda thing. So I think that's
Well,
been
very
huge,
cool.
really branching out. So that's been a bonus.
And so that's what, you didn't know would be something that you're finding out now about the collaborating outside of your own kind of small network?
Right, yeah, I was kind of like, "Oh, I'll just get, referrals through, like, certain platforms," but it's been really, "No, I need to network, I need to get out there and meet other folks," and that's been huge. Like, I really didn't think a solo practice would have to expand so much, but it's shown that it's necessary for so many reasons. One, business purposes, but also, like I said, the peer support or the referrals. If I can't take somebody or it's out of my specialty lens, being able to say, "Hey, you know what? I've actually spoken to this person. I think they might be a good match for you."
Sure. And then also, even like you just said, I mean, if you need medication management additively to your patients and you're like, you know, you're doing really well, but this could just get you maybe just a little bit more stability. You can have
Absolutely,
good contacts for that, right?
yeah, for sure.
Man, it sounds like you're building a great framework already. I mean, it's just been just a few months and you're already kind of having good vision and building good connections already.
Yeah, it's definitely been a ride, and I've loved it. And I'm excited for what the future is going to hold.
Yeah. What other things or where can my listeners kind of reach out or find more information about your practice and how to connect with you?
Absolutely. So probably my website is the easiest. It's burkecounselingandwellness.com. I can get that to you, Ben, too. So you can add it to the show notes if you'd like. And or on Instagram, they can just type in Burke Counseling and Wellness. I should pop up on that. I try to be real responsive within 24 hours of responding to anybody.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I'll definitely attach that to the show notes and to the description and just so
Awesome.
we can make sure that people can get connected with you if they're interested. And
Wonderful.
what states are we talking now? We're talking
And Florida right now.
New York and Florida, anticipating South Carolina.
Absolutely. Yep. And then I might, once I get South Carolina, I'll work on another state. I'm just kind of trying to branch out a little bit. And again, expand my reach.
Yeah, just take over the whole East Coast, the whole East Coast time zone.
There we go. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, there's a good dream. There's our 5-year goal, our
There we
5-year or
go.
3-year plan or whatever. Well, Angela, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Thanks for sharing your journey so far. Really excited to hear kind of what comes from these next couple months, next couple years, and hopefully that everything continues to grow, but at a sustainable pace where you can, still maintain that sanity that you've been so eagerly desiring.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for having me on your show today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.